it's Dawn Marie with Custom Comfy Crochet, and today we're here for our possibly last or next to last Valentine's video that I have out for you guys. This is a really cute, easy little heart basket that you can make. This is great for filling candy with or little gifts with to give for Valentine's Day. It's also great to just have handy to put stuff in. So this one, as you can see, is made, well, I don't know if you can see, but it's made with cotton yarn. And I doubled that, and that's what this one looks like. Okay, this one was made with acrylic yarn, and so it can be done with acrylic. I did end up having to end this one with a slip stitch to make it give it some more rigidity, so there is a difference. To be honest, I like the look of the cotton one the best, but I'm going to be using acrylic today because cotton's a little bit hard to work with. And so, but either way, the pattern is exactly the same. So yeah, really easy, really fun. We're going to jump right into the materials, but I do want to ask you first, please hit that red notify me bell below so that you can get notified of all my future videos. Please like and share. Sharing helps more than anything, guys. YouTube content creators depend on you sharing the videos to get the word out there. Otherwise, people don't necessarily see them, okay? So I really appreciate that. All right, let's get into the materials. Okay, so we are using a very big hook today. We're using an 8mm hook, or a L, okay? And we're doubling our yarn, and we're gonna double our yarn whether we use the acrylic or the cotton, okay? So whichever one you choose to use, you definitely want to double your yarn. You're also going to need a stitch marker of some kind. I'm just going to use a piece of yarn. You're going to need a pair of scissors and a darning needle. Really though, you might not need a darning needle at all. It's all up to preference. To work in your ends, you can either use your hook or your darning needle, but it's not used quite a bit, okay? So that's all you're going to need for this project today, so let's get into the video. Now, I will be saying that this video is a beginner-friendly video, and that's because I'm going to take it slow and go through all the stitches with you, and it really is simple stitches that you're doing to make this, so that's why it's called beginner. But if you're not familiar with all the stitches we're using, or you're having trouble holding a hook or using a large hook or holding your yarn, any of that stuff, there's a beginner video down below and it will help you with all those things, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot, okay? And we're going to work this, our extra piece here at the end, we're going to work that in as we go. All right, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 14. One thing about this project is you want to leave your stitches nice and loose because you're going to be working into a lot of them and doing slip stitches and things like that. So try to keep your tension loose, okay? 2, 3, 4, 13, and 14, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to go into the second loop from the hook and you're going to put 1 single crochet. So not in this stitch right here that your loop is coming out of, but in this next one you're going to put a single crochet, just like that. Then you're going to do a single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you're going to single crochet 3 together. So to do that, you're going to go into your next stitch, you're going to pull up, and you're not going to go through anything. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to go through your next stitch, pull up, you're not going to go through anything. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to go through your next stitch, pull up, you're not going to go through anything yet, and now you have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to go through all of those. Okay, then you're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you have 1 stitch left. And in that last stitch, you're going to put 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. When you do that, it's going to loosen this space up because it was our last one a little bit. So you can just pull tight on your string there. And then we're going to pivot our work and turn it on its side because we're going to be working across here, okay? So one thing I'd like to do, because this can get confusing, is I'm just going to go ahead and put my stitch marker right here where we just worked that last stitch. And that's because I want to make sure that we don't go through it when we go into these other stitches, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this tail in across here as I go, and I'm going to be working in all these stitches right here, okay? But we don't want to work into this one that we just did our 3 single crochets in. Now this is the most important part here, and this is where it can be a little bit difficult. And that's because you want to make sure that you work in each one of these stitches. You don't want to miss one, and they're kind of hard to see. So sometimes if you turn on your side, that really helps, because when you turn it on your side, you can see the V stitches. So I see one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. And then, you know, right here we did this 3 together. It can get even a little bit confusing. So I just want you to pay close attention when you're doing your stitches across the top. And if for some reason you don't get your right count at the end, just go back to here and try again, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet in our next 5 stitches. And then I'm going to be working this in as we go, okay? So I'm going to go right into this stitch right here and put 1 single crochet, and into my next, there's 2, and into my next, there's 3, and into my next, there's 4, and into my next, there's 5. Okay, and I'm just working that in as I go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 single crochets in the next stitch, okay? So this is the point of our heart. I'm just trying to make sure I go through the top there, that stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. 3 single crochets. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So in the next one, one, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, then we have 1 stitch right here. We have that 1 stitch left, and in that last stitch we're going to put 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, just like that. And as you can see, we're starting to get a heart shape. I can go ahead and take my stitch marker away from here now, because we're going to need it here soon. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work in the round. We're not going to slip stitch to close. We're going to go into our very next stitch, and we're going to put 2 single crochets, okay? And then after we do that, we're going to place a stitch marker in the first stitch that we do. So right here, again, this is the hardest part, like I said, of this project, is finding all your stitches. So sometimes the best thing to do is turn it on its side. So I can see a stitch here, a stitch here, a stitch here, a stitch here, a stitch here. So just try to pay attention to what you're doing here. So I'm going to go into this next stitch under both loops, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to put my stitch marker in that first single crochet that we did, okay? Because that lets us know that's where we started our round. And we'll know when we come back again, okay? So we did our 2 single crochets, and now we're going to put a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, okay? So in our next 3 stitches, we're going to put a single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And then we're going to single crochet 3 together. So like I showed you before, you're going to go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to go through all 4 loops. Okay? Then you're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. Then you're going to do 2 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. So in each of the next 3 stitches, you're going to put 2 single crochets there, okay? So I'm going to go into my next stitch and I'm going to put 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go into my next one and put 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go into my next and put 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. All right, so technically you had 6 single crochets. So now we're going to put a single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So in this next stitch, 1, and the next, and that's our second one. It's our third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And now we're down at the point of our heart again. So now in the next space, we're going to put 3 single crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And then going back up this way, we're going to put 6 single crochets. So in each of the next 6 stitches, you're going to put 1 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to put 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches, okay? So in this next stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets. And then in the next stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets. So you can see we're kind of mirroring, or we are mirroring each side. So you're doing the same thing on each side. So right here, we did it right. We're right back at our stitch marker. And now you can pull your stitch marker out and you're going to do 2 single crochets in that stitch. So pull that out. And then right here, you're going to put 2 single crochets. But then you're going to put your stitch marker back in the first single crochet that you did into that stitch. Just like that. And then you're going to put 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And then you're going to put a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. And now we're going to single crochet 3 together. So again, go into your next stitch, pull up, go into your next stitch, pull up, go into your next stitch, pull up. You've got 4 loops. Now don't let it confuse you that we've doubled our yarn because it looks like we've got a lot more loops. But remember, each of these doubles counts as 1 stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So yarn over and go through all of those, okay? Then you're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, and 2. Then you're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch and 1 single crochet in the next. And then you're going to put 2 single crochets in the next stitch and 1 single crochet in the next. And then you're going to put 2 single crochets in the next stitch and 1 single crochet in the next. So you did 3 sets of 2 single crochets and then 1 single crochet. Then you're going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now you're at the point of your heart again. So now you're going to put 3 single crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay? Then you're going to do a 2 single crochet and 1 single crochet and repeat that twice, okay? So you're going to go into your next stitch and put 2 single crochets. Then you're going to go into your next stitch and put 1 single crochet. Then you're going to go into your next stitch and put 2 single crochet. And then you're going to go into your next stitch and put 1 single crochet. And that should land you right before your stitch marker, okay? So now we are done with the base of our heart. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our stitch marker, but we're going to slip stitch right there, but we're going to do like a backward slip stitch. And that's just because we're actually going to turn our work to do this, okay? So I want you to pull up a little bit on your loop here. I want you to go behind this next stitch right here. So you're working from behind. And then I want you to place this loop right here on your hook and then pull through just like that, okay? And then I want you to turn your work. Then I want you to chain 1, all right? And now we're going to be working in these stitches right here. Now, when you're looking at this, what you're seeing is a lot of stuff here. And what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to work into these loops right here that you see on the side. So under those V stitches is where you're going to be working, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to put a slip stitch in each stitch around. So I want you to pull up and I want you to put your stitch marker right here so you won't get confused about where we are. Now, if you've been crocheting for forever, you might be able to find it, but just in case, go ahead and put that there, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch in each stitch, like I said. So we're going to go into our next stitch right here, as you can see, right under those 2 V's, and we're going to work a slip stitch. And again, slip stitch. And I want to keep these nice and loose because we're going to be working through these. And if you know anything about crochet, it's not necessarily easy to work into slip stitches. But the reason why we're doing a slip stitch is because it creates a beautiful base for your heart, okay? So it's important to do it, but it's going to be hard to work in if you don't keep your stitches nice and loose. So keep your tension, keep your arms and your shoulders relaxed as you do this. So you go ahead and work all the way around to where your stitch marker is, and I'll meet you back up in just a minute and tell you what. So we've worked our slip stitches all the way around. As you can see, it's starting to turn a little bit. That's okay. But I don't want you to forget this last stitch right here, so make sure you put a slip stitch right there. And then, of course, right here is our stitch marker, and that's where we started, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to join with a slip stitch into the space where our stitch marker is. And then you can take that stitch marker out. And now you're going to turn your work. Well, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn your work, okay? And now we're going to be working along this side, all right? So what I want you to do now is I want you to do 1 single crochet all the way around, okay? So again, you're looking at a bunch of V's here. We're seeing this right here all the way around, and then we're seeing this up here. But this here is our slip stitch, and this is our previous round. So we want to make sure we work in all these stitches right here. So I'm going to go into my first available stitch right here. You can see the V on its side, and I'm going to work a single crochet. And then again, and like I said, even though we did it loosely, they still can be kind of hard to work in. So I kind of use the tip of my hook to kind of get in there, or my fingernail. And then I'm going to crochet these loosely as well, okay? But we're just going to do a single crochet all the way around. And when you go to do this, it's going to leave this line here, and that's going to be our base, okay? And that's why we needed to do that slip stitch, right? So just make sure you get every stitch around, and make sure you're working in these stitches right here. So you're not working in these, you're working on the top here, okay? So you keep doing your single crochets all the way around, and I'll meet you back up as soon as we get to the end. So we did our last single crochet, and this is what it looks like. You can see this slip stitch that we did that's creating the base. And now we're going to be working in the round. We're not going to be slip stitching to close for the next 2 rounds, okay? So now basically what you're looking at is you're looking at the stitches that we worked right here in the middle, and then these are on the outside. It's usually the opposite way, but this is the way you do it for this basket. Okay, so we're going to just keep working in the round, and we're going to go into our next stitch, but instead of working on the top of these stitches, we're going to be working in these little V's that you see underneath, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to go into your next stitch, and you're going to work under it into that V, and you're going to put a single crochet. And then right there, I'm going to put a stitch marker to show that's where we started these stitches here, okay? So I'm going to put that right there, and then I'm going to go into my next stitch, and again, I'm working in those V's below. And again, working in the V's below the stitch. So they can be kind of hard to find, especially when you first start. But you can see right here, this is what you're working into. And this just gives the basket a really neat uniformed look. Okay, so just keep working in those lower V's, and you're going to do that. You're going to finish this round, and then I want you to do one more round of the same thing, but I'm going to show you how to start that new round, okay? So let's just finish with this one, and then I'll meet you back up again in just a minute. So now we're up to our last stitch. So right here, I'm going to work right down into that V stitch below the stitch and put a single crochet. And now we're back to our stitch marker. So I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and then I'm going to keep working in the round. So I'm going to go into my next stitch and put another single crochet into that lower V stitch. And then I'm going to put my stitch marker right back there, and that'll let us know when we're finished when we go around, okay? So now we're going to do one more round of exactly the same thing, working into this V stitch below, just like this. Just keep going around like that. And then when we get to the end, I'm going to show you what we're going to do to close this off and make it look all pretty and finished, okay? So I'll see you back in just a minute. So now we're down at we finished our last stitch. We're back at our stitch marker. And what I want to do is, now, this is totally up to you. But for mine, for this one right here, I worked a slip stitch around the top, and I thought it looked really good with the acrylic yarn. With this one, with the cotton yarn, I tried to do a slip stitch around the top, and it just was really tight and closed it in. I don't know if it's because it's a cotton or what the deal is, but it almost lost its shape a little bit. So for the cotton, I would not do a slip stitch, but again, it's up to you. For the acrylic, I thought the slip stitch looked good. Pull out your stitch marker, and you're going to go right into the top now. You're just working into the top, and you're going to do a slip stitch. And right there where you just put that slip stitch, you're going to put the stitch marker right back where it is, and then you're just going to keep doing slip stitches all the way around. And I think acrylic yarn, it does have a little bit of rigidity to it, but you're making baskets and stuff. A lot of people like to use cotton, or they like to use t-shirt yarn, things like that. Of course, this would look great with t-shirt yarn, but I just absolutely refuse to spend that much on yarn. So maybe one day I'll make it myself, but it is beautiful. So if you want to use that, you can. But at any rate, because this is acrylic, I think that this slip stitch really helps to bring it all together and hold its shape better. Okay, so let's just slip stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you back up in just a minute. Stitched all the way around. Now you might find that it'll lose its shape a little bit even before this slip stitch round, and if that happens, you can just dip this back in with your finger a little bit, straighten up your sides. You know, it is yarn, and sometimes you have to do that. Okay, but okay, so we're all done, and so now I'm going to show you how to close this off. So we're going to take our slip our stitch marker out. We're going to pull up our loop a little bit, and we're going to do just like we did before. We're going to go through the back like this, back of this next stitch. We're going to put our loop on here, tighten it up a little bit, and then we're going to pull it through. And this is just to give it a seamless ending, okay? And now you're going to cut off, leave a pretty good strand so that you can work it in. And then you're just going to pull through, okay? Just like that. And see, that just gives it a perfect little ending. You don't see anything there, okay? So now what you're going to do is you're going to work in your ends. These were worked in. Remember, we worked those in as we went around, so you can just cut those off. You don't need to work those in anymore. And so now all there is to work in are these right here. Go through like this and pull it in. But I think with these stitches and everything, it is easier to use a darning needle. So I'm going to put both strands, since we doubled our yarn, I'm going to put them both onto my darning needle, just like that. And then I'm just going to work down into these stitches. I don't want to mess them up, so I'm going to try to work through the front of them. And remember, 3 times a charm. You can do it more as well. Make sure you don't just go in a straight line, that you go over, just to make sure it never comes undone. And I think I'm going to do it 4 times. Okay? And so then you can cut that off. And you are all done with your heart. Like I said, you might need to use your hands to get it, you know, just perfect like this. But isn't that so cute? It's just darling for Valentine's Day. It makes a perfect gift. I really love that you can just use acrylic yarn that you have on hand, that you don't have to have something special. Like I said, I really do think the cotton one looks really good. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it looks just as pretty with the acrylic. So, and there's all my little stuff in there. I've got some little balls of yarn and a hook. But yeah, candy and everything will look good in these. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments or anything, of course you can leave below in the YouTube comments section, and I try to get to everyone. Also, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on TikTok, and I have a Gmail. So if you want to reach me at any of those places, or if you want me to show show me your finished work, I love to see that. So I appreciate it, guys. I'll see you soon. Happy crocheting. Bye-bye.